Hello guys, welcome. Welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Daily Teachings. A quick disclaimer before we start, anything I share, anything we talk about here is for educational purpose only, not a financial advice. We are not financial advisors. So guys, crazy day, another crazy day in the market. So much news flow, but good thing about today was there are some nice setups in the morning as we prepared in the pre-market. But we'll discuss all that. We'll discuss the market volatility. We will discuss all the trades we had in the community, our winners and losers. Before we start, let's do a quick introduction to anybody who's new to my X account, new to our X accounts, new to YouTube, or just new to the community. All these trade recaps, all these teachings every day, I try to recap the trades that we traded in the community. So you can trade these setups and yourself. You can learn the concepts over the years that I have been teaching and implement those concepts to trade on your own with the repeatable setup. The repeatable setup we use is Ripster EMA Cloud setup and various other concepts that I teach, which are repeatable. A system is how you trade, setup is what you trade, whatever you trade, swing trading, day trading, investing, everything has to be repeatable. If it's not repeatable, you will not find long-term success. Anyways, we trade this in our community, Tenet Trade Group, one of the largest trading communities online. We are educational based community, not an alert service. So what we do is every day we make a plan in the pre-market. We make a plan for the day, as you see in front of you, make a plan for the earning plays, news plays, market index plays, and we make a plan for any upgrades or downgrades. I am live in the pre-market. I'll do this. I create this plan live 20 to 30 minutes before the market open. We have a general support levels, resistance levels, and we have a general bias. We have a general game plan in the market, and this is a watch list we watch all day, among others. And anything we trade is based upon this plan. We can change the bias based upon our system. Like I will show you the various examples. I will show you my guidance of anything that I guide from the game plan. Not all the stickers will give a actionable trade after the open, but anything that gives actionable plan, you take it with the system, and we will go through all that. In addition to that, we also trade something called day 2, day 3 setups. This is another repeatable strategy that I have been teaching. I did a free webinar on this as well. And these are also, we make a plan for day 2, day 3 setups in the pre-market, how we're going to trade those setups. Sometimes some setups trigger. For example, Kroger was one of the main setups that triggered today. Sometimes some setups don't trigger. So we also share crypto levels in the pre-market. Anybody who wants to trade crypto stocks, they can trade those with those levels, and using Ripster EMA Cloud System, you can pause the screen and take a look there. We also provide futures levels. We trade futures in the community with Ripster EMA Cloud System. I show you the examples all the time. How we trade that, you can pause the screen and take a look. I did do a futures webinar as well with the team. So we also trade, also provide the levels for the ETFs, the Mag 7, the indices. We provide these levels in the pre-market, so those traders can use these levels to find an actionable setup in the community. So in the community, we have thousands of traders, which we have one of the biggest trading floors, where the traders are sharing ideas all day long, helping everyone, each other, to find actionable content, to find opportunities in the market, keeping our losers small, our winners big. I'm usually on the voice first few hours of the market open. If it's needed, I'm usually around all day, and I guide my traders through those trade setups during the whole day. We have multiple scanners in the community. We have a bunch of option flow scanners. It really came handy. We have 3 option flow scanners, which was great to use for today on a Tesla trade. We have stock scanners. We have breaking news alerts. We have voice alerts. We have Ripster EMA Cloud alerts. We have hold, unholds, among others. A lot of tools. We have our tools which are worth $500, $600, which are free for the traders in the community. So everybody can, join and trade together and finding the opportunities. Anyways, that's a quick introduction. Let's start with a recap. Let's start with the first recap of the day. All right, so let's start with Tesla, right? So what was happening with Tesla? Let's take a look. Sometimes there's a trade that you get that you only take that trade and you don't really need to trade anything else. And that was a Tesla today. Because when such setups come, you need to hold your trade. You need to let it work out for you. So before I go to the detailed analysis and show you the guidance how the traders in the community nailed Tesla today for a huge winner, exponential winner, let's take a look at what was the plan in the pre-market. So first of all, there were traders who told me, "Hey, Rip, I missed Tesla." The reason you missed Tesla because you were not aware of what's happening in the market. As a professional traders, we need to be aware of all the news that's happening in the market, be it on the weekend, after hours, whatever. You need to know. So Tesla had a robotaxi event on the weekend. Although there might not have been any crazy news, but a robotaxi event was completed. Robotaxi is big for the market. So I made this plan in the pre-market. When I was making a plan, I put it as a red play, top play. The plan was to be bullish biased. That was our plan. And also I mentioned we're going to watch the flow. Why did I mention the flow? Because Tesla is a great setup. When it gets a flow, it gets going. So combine the news, combine the technicals, combine the flow to get an A+ setup and have a great win. So we'll talk about that. We will look at how the Tesla options moved and see how you could have managed your risk on the Tesla trade. So that was the plan. Let's look at the daily chart. Always look at the daily chart when you're planning your trade. So you see that there was this downtrend line break, a little tiny flag. That's fine. Then not only that, there was this range break. So what is a range break? Range break is when a stock is moving up and down, down, up between a range. And when that range breaks out, and you can even make it a shorter range. You can see these tiny 3 candles here, or you can take it up. So this is called a range break. Just so you have news, you have technical setup, you have range break. So all that makes it a very, very strong catalyst. What else? There was a 20 EMA, Ripster MTF clouds, 2 MTF clouds, 1 hour and 3450. You see, this tells me it's bullish. That's why my bias was bullish, because the trend is bullish, right? And I have a pre-market planning where I plan these places, the levels that I showed you in the game plan. I know if we get out of this box, we're going to push, right? And we're going to get out of the daily range that I just showed you. So let's see what happened right at the open. So many times traders complain that the stocks run out of me, I cannot chase it. You don't really have to chase it. And I don't even go to the bottom candle. Let's see what I said. I told the traders amateur long means the first candle is wrong. Watch out the pullbacks. That means watch for any pullbacks that we get. So initially it swiped to 338. You could sell some there if you're just trading the amateur move. Then I told the traders dip buys on the pullback. I gave them 2 levels on the voice. You see, I mentioned 330, 332, but I did mention these levels on the voice right at 930, 933 as well, a few minutes prior. So you see this candle right here. I mean, you're going to go to 3 minutes. I don't really need to go to 3 minutes. I know what's happening there. So you see on the 3 minutes, you see it's pulled to, where does it pull to? It pulled in that 330, 332 range. So that's where you buy. Because your risk is 328. Wherever you're buying, if it doesn't work, you would cut it. If it doesn't work, you would cut it. But the dip buys 330, 332 work. And that's when it started to push. Even though other stocks in Mag 7 were not doing good, Tesla held. I told the traders holding well, target high of the day. From that pullback that I just showed you in the 3 minutes, we pushed the target I gave was high of the day. And we did push to that high of the day target. Right? So it's not that you just take your penny profit and run. We'll talk about the options as well. You can trade the leverage ETF as well. If you see that leverage ETFs did same thing, I encourage that. I teach that. I did a leverage ETF webinar as well. You see leverage ETF was actually breaking out of the MTF clouds. MTF clouds 3450 2021. Right? So it's a long. Now it's all about positioning yourself. We will talk about that in a minute here on the options. So let's take a look for my full guidance. So target was high of day, and then I gave the high of day breakout. I saw a lot of flow coming in on 340 calls. I told the trader, I actually read the flow live on voice. I saw 350 flow. I even saw some 360 flow. I talked about all the flows. I continuously guide my traders. So my traders know that. Even my followers, those of you who've been learning from me for years, know my teachings about that, right? So once it started to push, you just put your stops break even. Just forget about it. Take a little bit off, put your stops break even. If you see that, you can sell some, but stops break even. Right? And then next target I gave was 342.50 and 340. Those were my 2 targets I gave. We hit 340, we hit 342.50. That's where I told the traders to sell 60%. Next target 345. We hit 345 as well, right? And then I said you can roll with the profits. You can buy 350 calls, 355 calls, whatever calls you want to buy. And there was a big seller at 350, then that cleared, and next seller was 355. And then I told the traders you can throw some profits into lottos if you want. And finally, our final target was 358. Watch, we are running at 161% ATR. Then I started to pull back, pull back, pull back. There was some news on the market as well. That's when it broke the 512. So we exited it here. Our main trade was done here. You could short here and take it down here, and you know that was the main trade. After that, it was a calls. You could make a little bit here, but that was not an A plus trade. This was the A plus trade. News, check. Daily chart, range break, check. MTF cloud, check. Flow, check. Right, so everything there is long is you just have to find the position. And if you're really very uncomfortable with having a position, you start small options, right? So let's look at the morning calls. Let's look at our those of 340 calls, right? So 340 calls were $5. And you don't really have to put your whole portfolio in that, right? Let's say you start with a $6. You start with a $6, you know, you have 20 grand account or 30 grand account. You take 3 or 4, maybe you take 4, right? You take 4, 2,400, and you know, as you take one off and you know, log $300 profit there, and let it, rest of them you hold it. Rest of the 300, rest of the what you are holding, you know, you just made another 1,200-1,300 bucks on that, and you can sell some more. So once you have out of all this, let's say you sold all your options here, right? When we were hitting the 13, and you remember you had let's say 4 at 6, you know, you just doubled your money. You know, you just double your money, and now it's up to you that you want to let, you know, you double your money. You made a 3 grand or 2,500. Then next you just roll your options. You dump the next options into maybe 350s, right? You take that and you put it in the 350s. Because, you know, and if 350s is too much, you don't want to risk that much, you put it in 352 fives, or you put it in 355s, right? Anything that lottos that makes sense to you. You know, you buy it again, this one at $7, so you're just using 700 profit from your own trade, and then that gives you another $400 or $500. Now, when to cut it? You see the option charts. You know, it's not for advanced traders. I always recommend to have option charts and the stock chart side by side, but you see where this option is breaking down. At the same time, you have to focus on the Tesla chart. So once the Tesla chart breaks the 512, you cut it, right? You cut it. If you were in 350 calls, you cut it. Let's look at the Tesla stock chart here. So you know, you cut it. So you cut it right here, right at 1230s, right? And you need to understand the options, risk, reward, and options, how the options move, the spread, the liquidity to make a right decision. And you see at the same time we broke there as well. But you can't just trade just on the option charts. That's not how it works. You know, you have to trade the stock chart and manage your risk parallelly. And if it's too much risk for you, you just trade TSLL. You buy the TSLL from MTF Clouds. You buy 3,000 shares. You know, what are you risking right here? You buy 1,000, it starts to work, you add 1,000 more, your average is now 1310, your stop is 1290. You average up as it starts to work. You know, let's say you have 3,000 shares with average of 1320, right, or 1330. But those 3,000 shares, you just made 3,000, and as it goes higher, you take some off, and when it breaks 512, you get out. So that's the risk reward, guys. If you're risking $1,000 here and you're making 2 grand here, 3 grand here, that's amazing risk reward. So trade options, trade leverage ETF, whatever makes sense to you. There are many videos how to trade Tesla for a living, so watch that. Amazing trade today. Just traded, literally killed in the community, and everybody, all of my traders, they hold, right? That's what I teach. That's what I make my traders psychologically strong. You see, I ask them who is holding. Everybody holding. Me. Everybody holding. You know, so that's how you take that. You know, Chris took 100%. So that's how you do it. And very proud of this trade today. Amazing trade. Amazing pre-market planning, and just flawless. You just made our day here. All right, so let's go to the next one. Some trader was trying to short it. You don't short it. You know, some trader was trying to short it, and they turn a lesson. You do not short it, right? Make your check mark, checklist, check, chart check, news check, clouds check, you know, range break check. There's no short here, guys. Don't do that. Short, I'll show that you're short. All right, so let's look at HIMS. Okay, so what was the plan on HIMS? Let's go to the HIMS. I did do the questionnaire on Twitter X today. Very proud of that. A lot of my traders, followers, not in the community, they answered mostly the right question. So but many of them missed one key concept here. So what was the plan on HIMS? So HIMS had a news that Novo Nordisk terminates a partnership. The plan was simple. Support is at MTF, resistance is 54, trade versus 50, watch out the calls, bearish bias. So bias was bearish. So what happens? As soon as you see this flushing, you take a short, you wait for the pop to pre-market resistance right here, you take a short right there, buy the puts. Okay, under 1 hour MTF, under 20 EMA on daily MTF, under 50 Ripster MTF, no longs. 50, take a short, put your stop at 50. You take a short at 48, yeah, that's a $2 risk. You might have to reduce a risk a little bit here, maybe get a smaller size. You risk like 49, like risk $1 right here at 512s, and you hit this pop, 512 pops. Wait for the pops, then you short it, hold, hit the pops again, hold, and you could, even if you, let's say even if you risk $2, right, 48 to 43, you made $5. You risk $2, you made $5. You risk $1,000, right? You risked $1,000, but you made almost $1,500, $2,000, right? So that's how you do it. That's how the trade is, right? Anyways, the guidance was same. Whatever I just told you, told the traders right away. MTF short, rejecting 512, still a short. 512 rejection, still a short. All day short, nothing else. You could trade leverage ETFs as well if that's what you like to trade. HIMS, their options. I don't know if they have options, but if sometimes they have illiquid options, or you could trade the options as well. But shares is always preferred. If you have a bigger size account, you don't really need to trade the options. Beautiful trade. All right, so next one I'm going to quickly talk about is Circle. So Circle, this is a great example if you do not understand my teachings of the amateur moves and trend moves. Let me teach you that. Let me show you that. What's the difference on that? Let's see if I can find that screenshot that I've been talking. So this is a amateur versus trend move. I will retweet it. But pause it, learn it. What is amateur versus trend move? I'm trying to keep the video short, so I'm not going to go deep into that. But this was the amateur move. You see that? So we were trying to short it. We tried to short it, but right here squeezed us, and we got out of the short. So we lost like, let's look at the pre-market planning here. Let's go to the Circle pre-market planning. So let's see where they, yep. So Circle, bearish to neutral bias, bearish if stays under 252, long over that. So once, and you don't have to trade amateur move. If you waited the amateur move, you got the big long beautiful trade there. But if you shorted, you lost like $4 like me, but you get long right away. So a lot of the traders in the community got the longs right here. You get long. So I gave the stops at 245. You get long here, 250s, 252s, 248s, wherever you get. Your stops is 245. Once they started to push, we moved the stops to 248. The target I gave was 266. Where did that target came from? That target came from pre-market highs around this area. And then there's a resistance. As soon as it broke out, I told the traders a breakout of the pre-market highs. Now you see, this was a resistance. Now it becomes our support. Now that becomes our risk level. So 266 becomes a risk level. The target I gave was 300. I was in the voice, so you won't see it. We hit 300. Now 300 is always a big psychological level. It's not always that easy. Today is another great example Circle, hit 300. 300 is such a big level. It's not easy to break. I even tweeted about it that there's a huge seller. And if we broke 300, of course, we would have pushed higher. We would have pushed higher. But the point is to manage your risk. You see how we moved the stops to 266, and then, a 300 target hit. And then, where stops were 280. I did give the stops at 280. I did tell the traders that you can't have $2, $3, $4, $5 stops on Circle. It has a big range. You can not size crazy. It doesn't mean you have $1 million account and you buy 1,000 shares. That's not how it works. You buy few hundred shares. So we had our 280 stops. So see where we started with 245 stops and where we ended with 280 stops. Even if you respected those two stops, you still made, $35. But once our 512 breaks, we were out. And I did tell the traders you can short it. I mean, a lot of traders shorted this circle 512s. You can make some back on that as well. Although the options are very high IV, you really need a $10, $15 move to make some money on the options. But definitely great trade for the large account traders with a decent share position here. But you can see the setup here. This was the call. This was an amateur move, the trend call. You long there. You saw the timestamp guidance. That's how we do it, guys. Love the execution on circle. Not even a tiny bit feel bad about trying to short it in the amateur move. We always do it, but what we don't do is stick with. Imagine you were short and you held it all the way. You would have blown all your account. That's not what we do. Let's go to the next one. All right, so let's look at a loser today. Lily has usually been good for us because Lily usually, and this is again an example of the amateur and trend move, right? So Lily was triggered long right away. Let's look at the pre-market planning on Lily, see what it was telling us. So Lily, the pre-market planning was 512 call watch if 762 holds. So that was the pre-market planning. And it kind of started to push right out of the gate. So that was our long. But you see the big sell-off because it was a big move, 770 to 793. That was a $20, huge move. So we tried to buy it right here, 770, 778, but it failed and we stopped out and we took a loss of $6-7. So let's say you were on the pullback, you were trying to buy 775 calls, right, or 780 calls, whatever. So you see that those calls very illiquid. You see that I mean that's a lot of traders don't buy that too much, but let's try to see if we can find 780s, right? Let's see, look at 780s. Even the 780s were a lot. They were $12, right? So you see that 14 to 12 right away, you're going to lose 30-40% on your trade. And that's how the Lily trade is, because it's illiquid options. So it's very dangerous if you do not size the right way, because their loss is fine. The loss is fine. The pullback didn't work. Although once I saw those candles, I knew that you don't want to see such a huge candle, right? Compare it with versus Tesla. What did Tesla did in second candle? It didn't pull back all the way, but it swiped back. You see this swipe? This tells you that it's going to go. And there was no swipe. Bigger swipe. If Lily has swiped from here to here, you could have seen a little hammer. That would have told you it wants to push higher. But lower lows, lower highs, it's already a warning signal. Even if you add small, you exit, move on, take a loss, loser today. All right, so let's look at next setup here. Next setup is a Kroger. This was our day 2 setup. I didn't do a recap on Friday, but this was our big earnings play win on Friday. It was a long all day guided by me. The traders really did good on Kroger. Today was our day 2 setup. Earning play, you see highlighted earning play, earning day 2s, everything here, the pre-market guidance. As soon as it started to, it's again, guys, thousands of examples of this setup. And you see 3450 bounce, you long here, pre-market high, you long here. I did mention the traders earning long right up at the open. Stops I gave was 70 to 70, and once it started to push, you made a couple of dollars long there on Kroger. All right, let's look at next setup here. Let's go to the next one, and the next one we're going to look at is LI. So what was LI here? So LI was also on our game plan today. LI was a beautiful trade, messed up with a little market pullback. Let's see here. Okay, so LI was getting into electric SUV. All right, always good. Lot of support below. I said a lot of support below. Long over the pre-market highs. So as soon as pushes here, you take it long, right? You take it long right away. I told the traders, LI, game plan, MTF long, take it long right away. MTF to MTF. MTF to MTF, MTF magnet, right? So you could easily make, even if you had 1,000 shares, you could easily make, $700 there. 2,000 shares, you have $1,400. What are you risking? You're risking a couple $100. And it broke down, we exited, but you could always get back on this 512 calls. Small ATR, good for the small account traders. I don't really know how the options moved, but you can look at the 27 calls, illiquid. So that's, this is illiquid. So I stay away from them, but decent trade. That's good. All right, so let's look at that. Let's see here. We had TEM and RKLB. So these two plays, let's look at TEM and RKLB. TEM was a short in the morning. but then it came back, it did not reject, and then it became a curl long. Let's look here. I told the traders to close the shorts. You see here, from this to the close the shorts, and it was a 512 curl and push to the MTF. Another MTF to the MTF. Short was good if you took it right at the open, but after that, if you shorted here, take a loss, move on. And this was a long from this MTF curl to the higher MTF. Let's look at Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab was same thing, curl here. And Rocket Lab ran from this curl, 512 curls, all the way to $32, right? You see that it's all repeatable setups. All right, so let's look at a few more setups here that we traded in the community. Let's look at ZETA. So what was ZETA? ZETA is the reason I'm going to try to show you ZETA is that it gave you two setups, right? So let's look at what was planned on ZETA here. So this was more of a voice guidance. The plan on ZETA, there we go. When I see something, because I'm looking at hundreds of tickers, I mention those, right? Whatever you see, I guide those. If my guidance was a loser, like Lily, I share those. But most of my traders are like, they come to our community, but they learn and they become self-dependent. They are trading on their own. But my guidance helps them understand that, all the lessons over the years I had, so they can have a constant growth and shorter learning curve. So, so that was a ZETA. Getting chatter on X, gap and crap under 1590, long over. So you see that it was gapping and crapping. I saw the curl I mentioned on the voice. You could long here 1630, 1620, put your stops at 16 or 1590, and you take it all the way up 1760. And then ZETA gave another curls. I think I mentioned the curls on the trading floor as well. So we had ZETA, yeah. Let's look here. Yeah, 3045 calls. So those are 3045 calls. Stops were 1650, and it did give you a little 50 cents move there. So that was ZETA. All right, let's talk about SPY QQQ. Nothing much to talk about. I personally did not really trade all these SPY QQQ crazy move. The war, with the market, even though it seemed like market already knew that we saw the push. So I can show you my guidance. Not much to recap there, but I can show you my guidance here on SPY and QQQs. Let's take a look. So SPY QQQ bearish start, but then it became a testing curl. It became a long here over the MTF breakout, pushed into, you visualize the three candles long. After that, there was nothing, chop. Then it broke the MTF, flush to the MTF, but that's fine. This is the trade. This is the short trade right here. And this was the curl. And now this was the curl. When market is telling you what it wants to do, just don't believe the noise. Follow the system. So I told the traders right here, let's look at midday name, this one, don't short over the clouds, wicks under 21. You can watch my other videos. I'm not going to cover too much today, but the point is we stayed safe in the market today. And when this curl happened, SPY QQQ, when this curl happened, you could literally take a lot of calls, right? Lot of calls you could take. So let's see if I can show you, lot of system, Nestle, you see the Netflix curling. You see Meta, this curl, you take Meta long. You see Apple curling, you take Apple long. So many curls that were happening with the market, Google curl. You just need to learn the system, right? You don't buy the dips, you buy the high probability entry. And you see that how the MTF clouds are bouncing here. I was bouncing here. Anyways, guys, didn't want to run the video too long, but ran a little too much, talked too much about Tesla. But this is how we had a day today, decent day. Let's see what happens tomorrow. The World War III is over. Everything is normal. Hopefully we get a nice trend day, and hopefully market doesn't sell the news or profit take tomorrow morning. Whatever happens, we will be ready. Thank you.